Today we got another battle of the running back stashes. We're going to be looking at Jaylen Wright, and we're going to be looking at Trey Benson. Both these guys are very similar in situation and have some similar attributes when it comes to their play that could allow them to hit for you in fantasy football. I also am very interested in what you think about these running backs. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. I'm not 100% which one I like the best right now. I'm not 100% on that. Hopefully, as I talk through things, it'll come out more clear. But I've been flipping back and forth, actually. And I've been doing that with these stash running backs. It hasn't been 100% clear cut. This hasn't been the greatest running back class from the 2024 NFL Draft. But that's okay. I can see the upside in both of them. So we're going to deep dive them both together right now to see which stash we want to prefer. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking about the waiver wire very heavy. We're using these videos to help you set your lineups by looking at the matchups. Everybody else, they're doing rankings, they're doing tier lists. I do something different. I look at the matchups, I look at the game flow. We try to predict the games and then predict how these players are going to do in those games. That's why you need to click that subscribe button right now. Plus, Ric Flair's watching. Do you want to disappoint Ric Flair? No, you don't. But we're looking at Trey Benson and Jaylen Wright, two big-time running back prospects from the 2024 NFL Draft class. Both of them got 4.3 speed. Both of them are home run hitters. And during the draft process, I had Benson ranked ahead of Jaylen Wright. But it really wasn't by that much because I loved Jaylen Wright. I loved athleticism. I called his combine stats, not his stats exactly, but I called him blowing up the combine, saying that he was going to be that running back that was going to blow it up. And we went over him immensely, and he just kept rising the rankings. I did not have these guys too far off from each other. And why I like Trey Benson better is mainly because I knew the NFL was going to like him more, which they said that with the NFL Draft. And due to the production, but it wasn't by much, and I'm not really too keen of this draft class. If I threw them into the class prior, they probably would have got lost in the shuffle. That being said, when I look at these two running backs for the now for fantasy football, it's tight. It's tight, and you're going to see why when we do this, but both these running backs, you got some glimmer of hope, but we haven't went all the way yet. You got a little bit more with Jaylen Wright here. And things are starting to cook more right now with Jaylen Wright. Trey Benson, you're waiting on James Conner. You're waiting on him to break. But James Conner's a monster. And monsters break too. But James Conner's a monster, and you know that. I'm never going to bet against James Conner. He was like one of those first prospects I was touting back in the day that went well for me. Trey Benson, though, he's one of those players that he's good between the tackles. He's solid between the tackles. But during draft season, there was a lot of inconsistencies that was brought up. Very inconsistent. But he was there when you needed him. But Jaylen Wright's more of a pop gun running back, where if he sees that hole, he's electric. He's taking it to the house. He might not be the most nuanced running back, or that guy who's just going to always attack those leverages, who's always chaining together moves. He may not be that type of running back, but he's that running back where if that hole's there, it's gone. You're not catching up. You're not getting that angle on him. Trey Benson runs in the 4.3s. He did, but it's different compared to Jaylen Wright when you see it on the field. And you're looking at Jaylen Wright right now. 1,000 yards rushing last year in the SEC. Tough sledding in the SEC. 875 yards a year prior. 14 touchdowns the last 2 years. 4.35 yards after contact per attempt. I think we kind of sleep on those numbers, but that's very effective considering the competition he went up against. 3.75 yards after contact per attempt the year prior. Making a lot of missed tackles forced. 43 last year, 96 on his career. That's a very good collegiate career. 22 receptions, so we got used in the passing game. He's very electric in space. He's got speed to burn. We all know that. We all see that at the NFL level. We're hitting over 22 miles per hour on some of these runs here at Tennessee. He's an electric playmaker. Trey Benson, back-to-back 900 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns in 2023, 9 in 2022 at the ACC, 3.53 yards after contact per attempt, 4.53 yards after contact per attempt in 2022, forcing 79 missed tackles. He's very good between the tackles. He's got good vision. His vision's good. I like his vision more than Jaylen Wright's. I like his approach to the line of scrimmage better than Jaylen Wright's. I also know that it's not 100% consistent. He will leave you lost on some plays. He will try to stretch it out when it shouldn't be. He will do that on some occasions. We know that with Trey Benson, and I believe the inconsistencies is coming up here at the NFL level because he's not getting as many opportunities as he should be if he was more consistent, because James Conner, although he is a monster, it'd be nice to have him for a whole season. They'll really elevate him for the back nine of the season so he's fresh. They wanted that when they drafted him. But I believe the inconsistencies is keeping him from seeing a bigger workload. I'm talking about 8 to 10 touches a game or looks, opportunities. And when we're looking at these running backs, when you look at the athleticism, the speed, the size is very similar. You can make the case that 6 foot 216 is more impressive at 4.39 than 210 pounds at 4.38, but it's the burst score. Jaylen Wright jumped out the building. He's explosive. The burst score from the jumping metrics, the vertical, the broad jump, where he was elite at those, indicates that he's explosive on the field, which we know that from watching the tape, watching the games, either at Miami or Tennessee. He's more explosive of a runner. He's a little bit more raw of a runner. But the thing is, he sees the crease. He's good as gone. He's a little bit younger. He is a running back in a situation here that could pop, because we got some changes going on in this offense that could be advantageous for him. Trey Benson, though, 4.3 speed, electric. He is dynamic. He's a little bit more stout between the tackles, like I've been saying, but you look at this depth chart. You got HN Mostert right there. So you got a three-headed monster. Something about Florida, Tampa Bay, Miami, rolling out three-headed monsters right now at the running back position. Really, with the Cardinals, it's a similar dichotomy, but different, because James Conner is the monster. But you got Amari DeMarcado. You can't sleep on him. But when Conner went out with the ankle injury and came back in after he got it taped up, those two running backs split up the workload. DeMarcado's used more in the passing game. He's going to get more opportunities with that. Trey Benson's more of the home run threat. So if Conner does go down, you might see an even split or a 60-40 split one way or another between those two running backs. DeMarcado is going to get more work in the passing game. That is not good if that holds true for Trey Benson. When I look at the Miami Dolphins, they split up the work pretty good amongst these running backs. Not the start of the season, I guess that's kind of a lie, but if you're looking at last year, Devin Achane and Mostert were splitting it up. Mostert was hurt a lot of this season. Same with HM with the concussion. Jaylen Wright starting to get more work. All it takes is really one of these running backs to go down, and he's really getting a lot more work. Jaylen Wright, at the start of the year, when he's starting to get those opportunities with Tua out, wasn't looking great. But the thing is, Tua is out. It wasn't looking great for anybody. Jaylen Wright here, when you're looking at him in this offense, he's a pop gun running back that just needs a couple carries each game that could house it. You can make the same case with Trey Benson, but the Cardinals are starting to show the case that they don't think that, because Trey Benson's workload isn't ramping up where Jaylen Wright's is. So I'm really starting to lean Jaylen Wright. When in the start of the season, it started off with Trey Benson, but things changed. Let me know how you feel. But looking at the touches here with the teams mixed in, Jaylen Wright's getting more workload, just 4 more carries though, but 172 yards on 34 carries versus 107 yards on 30, 3.6 yards per carry for Benson versus 5.1 for Wright. Wright's just been more efficient. He just is. You may not always be there to see the hole, but when you do, you're a rocket through it, and you have the upside just to be grandiose. He's played in one less game. He's also got so much more upside compared to Trey Benson. He's more upside than Benson due to that. Benson's more meat and potatoes, but those meat and potatoes might get grinded up if he does not perform to what the Cardinals drafted him to be. Jaylen Wright is in an offense that fits him well because Devin Achane 4-3 back. Raheem Mostert kicking it around but good in the offense. Both those two running backs get hurt quite a bit. They got an extensive injury history. Jaylen Wright's workload is starting to ramp up a little bit. His home run speed in this offense with Tua back could be something that could win leagues in the back nine of the season. You're looking at both these guys in the passing game. There's really not much to look at. There's hardly anything there. Targets per route, though, Benson, 20% of his routes, technically 22%, he's getting targeted. That's a thing to look at. That means Murray's targeting him on his routes, but it's only 9 routes to 2 targets, so it really isn't anything. It's a small sample. Jaylen Wright, 1 target on 14 routes, 0.07. That's not great, but again, both these guys are under 10% on route participation rate, so there's not much to look at. Also, the Dolphins are not throwing the ball effectively right now, so things are kind of weird until we get Tua back, until we get that sample, so you can't really look at the Dolphins heads up in the passing realm with the Cardinals right now. And now you're looking at the passing game with the Arizona Cardinals here and Amari Demercado, 46 routes ran. He is going to see the passing game work if something happens to Connor. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a split, and it might be the split you don't want. Amari Demercado is a running back not to sleep on. Trey Benson's got some upside. He can hammer it between the tackles. Demercado is still going to get that work. He's showing that right now with those 46 routes ran. That's a lot of opportunity. That's a lot of run. And Trey Benson only has 9 on the season. That's a huge indicator. That's a huge red flag. Where you're looking at the routes here, of course, Devin Achin, because they were using him a lot. Raheem Mostert. Jaylen Wright's not getting that much. But in this scenario, we're waiting for one of these 2 running backs to break down for him to get more opportunities, or him just flat out stealing opportunities later in the season. And with how he wins on the field and how explosive he is, it's pretty much one catch in the flat with space, or hitting a crease with space and he can house it. He's an upside play, up and down every week, kind of like a Keaton Mitchell. He's kind of like a big Keaton Mitchell back there. He's sharing the backfield. We got speed to burn. We have production that's underrated. Jaylen Wright is kind of a big Keaton Mitchell. And when you really look at these schedules here, both of them are very advantageous, and I don't think it matters because we're just waiting on these running backs to get the workload and get the touches to see what happens with them when they finally get their opportunity. So which running back are you picking? I'm leaning Jaylen Wright. I'm leaning Jaylen Wright as the better stash. That's the guy I would rather have right now. I like the situation better. I like the upside better. I think Amari Demercado is a big red flag for Trey Benson. That's worrying me. I will stash them both in leagues. I will have them in one league or another. I will diversify. But again, if I had to choose, gun to my head, I'm choosing Jaylen Wright. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.